Oh boy, that was StreamYard updated everything. I'm so confused. Here I am streaming to all the platforms and all the places for this webinar. Thank you if you opted in, you're joining, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, on Twitter/X, or on YouTube. You can check out our first kind of public viewing of Valet CRM. And Valet, if you've ever used ops.ai, which is our outreach platform, you will know inside of ops, we've created Valet, which is our AI agent. And that was our first iteration of this. Oh, that's terrible. What we've now done is we've realized that, this is just kind of first touch outreach. This is where you're taking kind of cold lists, you're targeting an ICP or some other signal-based data to send either email or LinkedIn outreach. But then what? What happens when you get either a new first degree connection or you have a response that's positive to one of your campaigns? That's when you need to take everything from that kind of big bulky data of ICP data and get it into something. And a lot of people, what they do is they'll either stick it into a spreadsheet or Notion or a CRM. Most of the CRMs are out there. They've been around for a little while and they're really, really complicated. And so we started asking the question like, well, how, what do we really need in a CRM? And we built the first iteration of the Valet CRM. So what we're going to do today is I'm just going to show you basically the MVP, I will call it, Valet CRM. You can sign up for this and get 14 days free right now. And what I want to do is show you the basic features that are in there, which I think cover the most important features of CRM and how you would use them in your B2B qualification, selling, and support activities. But then, talk about roadmap. What I would love to see, and particularly in chat, if you're in chat, at the end of this, I'm going to have a slide that I'll kind of talk about where I see this going and what additional features we would add and what I'm thinking around AI agents, why that would be important to you. So without further ado, why don't I just do this? I did make a little bit of a deck so we can actually use that. Let's see, slides and PDFs. Window. All right, so we're going to go. So why every CRM is broken, and so I built my own. I think the biggest thing about CRM is just super, super complex. It's a lot of tech debt, a lot of field debt. There's just so many fields. And while you do want to be able to customize the CRMs in some cases, for the most part, what you just want is you want your important data and to understand where a customer is at in the life cycle of them buying something, whether they're thinking about buying something, they're in the process of buying something, or they have bought something, and then how you support them in all those scenarios. So CRM, just level set, customer relationship management. This is a particular video, I would say, for founder-led sales organizations. Anyone who's in go-to-market stage, and the founder is leading sales. So you don't need a full-blown business automation, super customized CRM like Salesforce. And maybe when you use HubSpot, it's just still too overwhelming and it gets really expensive really fast. Anyone that's a professional, solopreneur, or a salesperson, anyone that's using spreadsheets or Notion to track leads or deals right now, I think this is a good point to take a look at and try Valet CRM. All right, so usually this is what we're seeing in the CRM world. We're seeing maybe you just got a spreadsheet. You're using a spreadsheet with a bunch of fields as columns and then rows as records, and you're trying to track kind of your first people that you're reaching out to and your first deals. Some people will sign up for HubSpot. We've actually used HubSpot for a while for ops in particular, and we integrate to HubSpot. And HubSpot is okay as long as I'm not paying a bill, and I actually use the free version of HubSpot. But I can see very quickly that it gets expensive very fast, and there's a lot of tech debt. There's a lot of it's just difficult and confusing to navigate because there's so many things in it now. And it's really difficult to customize screen layouts. Now you go all the way to Salesforce, and Salesforce is kind of like a Ferrari. You can customize Salesforce to the nth degree. However, it is overwhelming for most of the people that we mentioned over here. You can customize it to the point to your, and I am a Salesforce partner. We have clients that are very big, and we automate very complex processes and big sales teams, and it's great for that. It is absolutely the Ferrari of CRMs, and they're a market leader for a reason. But you definitely need like a Ferrari level mechanic to run it. And you got stuff like Pipedrive and Adio, which are, in their own rights, there's some value to these CRMs. But what we did is we wanted to have a couple things. So one, we wanted a generative AI CRM that you can chat with. Now, the first version of this, I would say, is not necessarily AI driven, but it is chat driven. And what we're going to do is just, we're thinking through how intelligent your CRM does need to be for, important functions. What do you want an AI to do inside your CRM? So that's part of this, is you can use it right now, and I'll demonstrate this. And you can go to try Valet, www.tryvaletcrm.com. You can hit Try Valet CRM, you get a 14-day trial with no credit card. And if you do that, I'll also follow up with you and book kind of like an onboarding. But this is like kind of the first view of it. So the major things that I wanted in this very first version, AI chat assistant. So you'll see that it's not full-blown AI at this point. It's more of a matching exercise. It's not like Chat GPT level AI, but that's coming. And then intelligent insights, like really simple stuff. I don't really have crazy reporting in this yet, and I'm not sure if you need that. Really what I have is a deal Kanban or views where you can manage important aspects of your day-to-day deal management or lead management. So we have contacts. I'll show you in a second. And then really what I'm looking for feedback on is, well, what about AI agents? And I think this is part of the roadmap where we want to, everyone's saying they're using AI, but they're really using things like Zapier and N8N to automate as opposed to actually using AI agents. But what I want to do is actually create AI agents, and I'll explain what those will be and how they will work. All right, so these are some screenshots, and I'll actually take you through and show you how this works and how you log in and everything. There's really some kind of common things you'll notice. On the left side, you'll see chat driven. So if you hit the plus sign, what you'll notice is that there's 4 things you can do. You can create a deal, you can create an account, create a contact, and you can create a case. And these are the major concepts in CRM. So you have leads, accounts, contacts, deals, cases, and settings. Is kind of like your personal settings. So the idea is with a lead is when you're doing any sort of outreach, or maybe you have some sort of campaign and someone is now aware of you, that to me is the point where it would come into CRM as a lead, and it's someone's job to qualify it, or it's something's job to qualify it. And I'll talk about the process that we use, the methodology that's been applied to this around that. So that's what a lead is, versus an account is usually like an organization or a company, and there's a one-to-many relationship between accounts and contacts, so people, right? So you'll have an account record, and you'll have many people at the company potentially. There are different levels of decision maker. So you'll see contacts, right? Those are people, and then deals are the active sales opportunities you're working on, either directly or indirectly. Maybe you're just tracking that someone came to your website, opted in, signed up for your product, but they're on a free version versus paid, and how do you track signals? Or you are engaging in a direct B2B sales process, and that's what you would use as a deal record. And then there's this concept of cases. So think of cases as trouble tickets. So I think there's really 2 important case records that you're going to have in any CRM. One is an onboarding case. So now you've closed a deal, or someone signed up for something and they got to get the thing they bought. And so you might use cases to track an onboarding for a customer. Is the onboarding complete? Are these the steps? And what's the status of that onboarding? The other would be trouble, right? Post-sales trouble, post-sales problems that have to be fixed. Hey, there's a bug, or I'm having issue figuring this out. You would use a case to track that. And then, deals. So like when, let's say something is qualified, we'll talk about what qualification usually looks like. You want to manage, the deal from discovery to proposal to negotiation to whether it's closed, won, or lost. So this is like usually high lifetime value deals that require a sales rep, right? Now, it can also be digital in the future. But I think for the most part, if you're doing not in person, but one-to-one type selling or one-to-many type selling, where you're trying to sell to an organization, you're going to track using an opportunity, for example, in Salesforce, is the same idea as a deal in Valet CRM. And then contacts obviously are people records. So these are people that are at different organizations or accounts. Another feature that I will show you is this is integrated. So let's say you do have your data in a CSV file, an Excel file, or on a Google Sheet. We made it really easy for you to import it. And you can get it into the right object, being, is this lead data? Is this an account data? Is it contacts? And you can import it appropriately. And I'll demonstrate that. All right, so just to level set, where we're at today is we have a chat-driven CRM, not so an AI chat. And what I'm thinking around, how do we improve that? We would obviously integrate it to an LLM and teach it more about maybe how to find records, update records, to create lists perhaps, or sequences, right? Those might be things that you might do with chat. So I'm excited to get feedback from people on what they would like to see in an AI-driven, a truly AI chat-driven CRM. What would you envision this being? I have those ideas that I mentioned. And then AI agents. Like, what the heck is an AI agent? So out in the world, there's like a lot of things claiming to be AI agents. Most of it centers around things like Zapier, N8N, or Make. And you can incorporate LLMs like OpenAI or Perplexity into the workflows that you are automating inside of an N8N or inside of a Zapier. A real AI agent we know is actually code, and there's not like a lot of those. And then there's big organizations that are actually coding AI agents, which I think is crazy, but that is happening. What I envision long term is that Valet is an AI agent orchestrator. It would be able to just, you would tell it to do something, it would know in the background to create or assign tasks to an agent. The truth is that the market's not really there. And I say the market, there's not too many platforms that can actually, with a verbal chat request, fire up an actual code-based agent that does something. Now we see things that are stepping stones to that. Like you might see things like MCP, which is Multiple Context Protocol. This is a way to take different software applications or browser-based interactions and normalize it so that the groundwork is set, so that eventually AI agents are a thing. And you could have an orchestrator agent like Valet. In the meantime, what I'm thinking with CRM is to create 3 agents that you would train on your company and your language, your process. One would be a follow-up agent. So if you think about it, you're doing all this outreach on LinkedIn or B2B email outreach. Someone replies as interested, or you add a new first degree connection. You want to get them out of those environments, a cold email. You want to get them out of your LinkedIn and into a little warmer environment. And typically you want to get a record of those people then, because now they've gone away from awareness into maybe consideration, and you're trying to qualify them, or maybe they go right to being a customer. Either way, you want all that data in CRM. But what happens if it comes in as a lead where they've gone past awareness, but now you're trying to figure out like if they're ready to buy? So that would be like a BDR, a business development rep, lead agent. So that would be one type of an agent. The other agent that I'm envisioning is an onboarding agent. So imagine you have a closed won deal where someone signs up and pays for your product. Then what? Okay, well, you want to make sure that they get set up for success. And that would be like an onboarding agent. So the agent would be a sequence of some sort, most likely by email to start, where it creates a case inside of your CRM with the type onboarding, and that would trigger the AI agent to start working on those types of records, right? If that makes sense. And then the third one I'm envisioning is a customer support agent. So you've got a paid customer, but they're having a problem. Any type of problem would be a support case record. And then you want an agent that would use the documents that you train it on how to resolve frequently asked questions or problems, everything from password resets to my thing is broken, what do I do? You would train all of these on your business, on your processes, on your products. So the idea would be we have these 3 agents in there where you could do follow-up, onboarding, customer support just by training it, teaching it about your business, give it your website, give it some of your PDFs, your documentation on your products, type in words about your company, it stores it, it learns it, and instead of training a human, you would just train the agent. And then I guess the question is, what else? We do have a feature that I kind of hid, but if you sign up with Google Single Sign-On, you will see in mine, and you can go to try valetcrm.com if you want to sign up on your own. I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to show you Valet CRM. This is not just like vaporware or anything. This is real. So we should take a look at the actual CRM product. Let's see if I can figure this out. There it is. Okay. All right. I'm going to start at the beginning here. So this is Valet CRM, and this is actually how it opens up. Is you would actually start on leads right now. Leads, as I mentioned, the idea is if you have any sort of activity that makes someone aware of you or they would imply interested, it would come into your CRM regardless of whether it's this CRM or another one as a lead. Okay, and we'll figure out how we get leads in here. Most likely we create some sort of automation from ops, for example, in as leads. Otherwise, you can import leads from Google Sheets or CSV, or you can create a lead. Now, what is a lead? So one, you can also create a lead from chat. So you can say, create a lead. I'm just going to make something up here. Michael Smith. It's like Smith, so I can type operators, Inc. What's their name? Michael at smithops.com. And their email is Michael, or what product they interested. Sorry, I didn't read that. So you can see it's created for me a new lead record. Now, what do you see inside of a lead? Like, you're going to see like their name, you're going to see some concept of the company and the product they're interested in. You can add notes. Now, you can fire up an email if there's an email in here. So if you hit this, it'll fire up your resident email platform. There isn't complex syncing with that yet, but that would be something logical that we would do with Google Single Sign-On at some point. If I edit the record, and I put their LinkedIn, and that's going to show up. I'll just put a fake one in here. Put Michael Smith. But you can see it would actually take me to that profile. This is a fake profile, so it doesn't exist, but that's what it would do. If I also have, if I let's say import phone numbers, it'll actually fire up your local dialer. Oh my goodness, I'm dating myself here. Like saying, let's go better. There's a better area code. So I can call, it'll fire up, in this case, FaceTime is my local dialer. Now, the qualification of a lead says, okay, does this person have budget, timing, need, and authority to then make an actual purchase? Are they ready for an account executive or for me to engage in like my sales process? At that point, in most CRMs, including Valet, you would hit convert. What does that mean, convert? Well, it's actually archived that original lead record. It says, no, this is no longer at the lead stage, right? This is an archived lead. Well, what did it do with that? Well, it used the data to create an account record, a contact at that account, and a deal. All right. So you can see there's the person's record. And here's the deal that you're working on. So in this case, I'm just going to say, well, this is like the value of this deal. We have actually a deal Kanban. So you can search for contacts, you can search for accounts and leads, but then you have a deal Kanban. I'm actually going to collapse this where you can drag and drop based upon the stage. And we can change these stages. I think we'll actually change this because it's not really prospecting. It's probably qualified as the first stage. But as I update the stage, I've assigned probabilities to these stages. You can see it's updating the probability. And those will tie into your sales pipeline. as I progress through my sales process and I get to a close one deal. So now it's attributing that active deal. Cases, as I mentioned, there's really kind of two types of cases. It's like let's do onboarding maybe. It's a new onboarding case. In this case, I didn't create it from an account, so I'm going to just indicate which account it's from. I could have created from an account, I would have pre-populated this. And you can manage this. You can go back to, you'll see there's my onboarding case. So then you would track through all the stages. This is in progress. I just made up some general stages. It's escalated, resolved, or closed. And that'll say the other type of case that you would have might be like if something's not working and you need to help someone, you would manage that through a case. All right, so that's basically, those are the basics of Valet CRM. So what I am envisioning and what would be amazing to get feedback on is one, okay, what is missing for you? What would you need for this to be more useful? Could you use it now? Which I think people can, use it as a CRM. But the AI agent tab would basically, as I mentioned, have, three types of agents, a follow-up agent, so that, let's say you had a lead come in, you would want to go through some sort of a process to start qualifying. You would set up a sequence probably on email where they get, an email kind of talking about through the journey of your product or your company, right? It's like, hey, we usually work with X, we need to solve Y. Here's some resources that you might want, and then you would probably want to track those resources. And then you would want to see which resources they engage with. Are they checking out a website? Are they downloading a white paper? Are they replying to the email in any sort of way? And that would help you without even doing a live call to figure out, do they have budget, timing, need, and authority? And you would actually probably want to have messaging that figures this out. And you would probably want to have resources that figure out, well, what size of budget do you have for this thing? When do you need to buy something? What problem are you solving? And who's involved in this? And you could probably do that through your BDR agent. That would be the idea there. An onboarding agent would say, oh, look, there's a new onboarding case, as I just showed you. And it would send them an email and say, hey, let's schedule a time. And we keep trying to do that until the person booked maybe an onboarding call and went through the onboarding call. And then that case would be closed by whoever does the onboarding call, whether it's a group one or an individual one. That's just an example. And then the third one would be, I need customer support. That would probably take some training where you train it on your product, you train it on your FAQs. That's kind of like the roadmap that I'm envisioning here, is that we create these three initial agents that you would train, and then they would kind of operate these aspects of your business inside the CRM. What we want to do in CRM is get away from having to create data. I do have a feature that if you do sign up and you really want to, can turn on. I've turned it off just because it's to get official Google authority for this is going to take some work. But what it did in my case is, you can see I have a lot of accounts. I have a lot of contacts, not so much deals, and then I have some leads. And the way it pulled the accounts and contacts in is it actually synced with my Google single sign-on, which, I guess I've hidden here just for that reason. Normally it's under integrations. It's synced with my Google single sign-on. So when I log in here, and based upon my calendar, my contacts, and my emails, it pulled in what it thought were accounts and the associated people at those accounts and any emails that it had as a result of my activity to them. So let me know what you think of that. And then deals, it doesn't pull in any deals or cases. Those are records that you would create as you are kind of managing the day-to-day part of your business. So the idea too is with Valet is that there would be some sort of connectivity and integration between, for example, ops, where you are running outreach campaigns means, and then someone replies in your unit box, and it's tagged by the AI or by the user as interested, it should, or maybe a new first-degree connection, it should show up in your CRM. I guess I can't show that because I'm on one particular tab. You probably just didn't see what I showed you, but that's the idea there. So what would be amazing is to get feedback on this concept of actually building in 3 AI agents into Valet or into Valet CRM. And what else? What else would you need to see for this to be useful for you day to day? You can go right now to, I'm going to put this in chat. This should show up for everybody. Try valetcrm.com. And if you hit the try button, I think this might just show up on YouTube, but I will also post it manually on X. And you can see this, or on LinkedIn. And you can sign up for with no credit card for a 14-day trial. When you do that, I'll send you a message basically that'll say, hey, book a personal onboarding. That would be a great chance to get feedback from you. You'll also get a survey where you can, if you don't want to talk to anybody, you can just say, this is what I like the idea of AI agents. I don't like it. This is what's maybe missing. Here's another idea for you. I think that's where we're at. So like you could use this to manage your business day to day for all of your leads, your accounts, your contacts, your cases, all your deals. And then the question is, what else? What makes this, without overburdening you with too many screens or fields, what else would you like to see? Do you want to see something where you don't do anything? You don't touch anything? I talk to people and they've said that. Like, just pull my data in. And that's kind of why we have that hidden goal feature. The reason I hit it was because we're going to do a lifetime deal, and I thought, we're capped by Google for, I think we can add 100 people without that forcing us to go through any sort of certification. We pull a fair amount of data in with that feature, so I had it turned off. I don't know how. I'll check and see how hard it is to turn it on. You can see the benefit is I didn't enter pretty much any of my accounts. And you can do that too from spreadsheets. So you can import it from a Google Sheet or a CSV, and that's probably pretty typical too. So yeah, the big question is, what else would you need to see to make this super useful? Do you like the AI agent idea? Do you like the chat driven? And do you want to see more of chat driven CRM? This is a great time for you to sign up. 14 days free. And if you do sign up, like I said, I'd love to talk to you in person as a onboard. All right, so there's not a lot of interaction using StreamYard, unfortunately, but if you have questions, let me just check and see if there's any questions. I don't think so. You're welcome to put them in chat. I should be able to see them. And if not, go ahead and follow www.tryvaletcrm.com. Let us know. You can also sign up for Ops, by the way. So if you use, there's a lifetime deal on Ops right now on Dealify. I think it starts at $69 for like 5,000 free records a month. And then if you want to use ops.ai, or you just want to try it out, if you go to ops.ai, app.ops.ai, or just click on sign up. You can just put your email in. It'll send you a one-time passcode. You log in, and that Stripe checkout, if you use free basic on the $49 plan, it'll go to $0 for life. So you never pay for that. You get 250 records a month for free. You can redeem those records with search, or you can do it in Marketplace. So you got a couple of things you can try out for free. I really appreciate people showing up and taking a look, and I look forward to getting feedback on what you would like to see, how this should evolve for you. And otherwise, I will wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time, and look forward to speaking to you in person.